Hello and a warm welcome again here at feelingTERrific. Today I have another special guest. He is Marco Braun, another colleague, but not just a colleague and not just another colleague, because we will have a very interesting topic today. It is all about cybersecurity, right? So he's a specialist. He's currently, as already mentioned, at ServiceNow, and his title is Cloud Security Specialist, or also, if I'm not mistaken, kind of Office of the CISO. But let's take it quite simple. Who are you?
Yeah, hi Christian. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Marco. I'm working at ServiceNow in the Office of the CISO and in a role as an cybersecurity specialist there. And I'm based out in Munich, live here with my family. 2 years ago, in the meanwhile, we moved from a smaller village in the south of Freiburg, and it's really great. We have a lot of trips that we can do here in Munich, around Munich, and to the mountains close to Munich. So that's really cool. And that's a few words about me.
I just wanted to ask if you already regret moving to Munich.
No, definitely not. That was one of the best decisions we have ever made. No, it's really cool personally, but of course also with respect to our careers. You have so much opportunities here, and that's a really cool ecosystem.
Yeah, maybe let's start with quite a simple but also quite a deep question, right? So, what drives you as a person in general?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What drives me personally? I mean, in general, I'm always interested in personal growth. So that means I'm not satisfied with the status quo. I'm always look forward and try to find out, okay, what is really interesting me, what I'm really keen in, explore new things, and then try to find out, okay, what could be next steps to reach that goals that I set personally. And that's something that I can observe through my whole life, right? So every time when I reach a certain point, I'm already thinking about, okay, what could be a next step to reach. And yeah, at the end, that also brought me to Munich. But that is really something that is really important for myself, and where I try to always moving forward.
Yeah. So how does the Ready School make sense then? So you're, or maybe not maybe, but your LinkedIn profile says you're a mentor there, right? So maybe what is Ready School and why?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because Ready School is something that I recognized randomly in the past, because I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. In the past, I have already also worked for 1 year as an innovation manager, and during the time I read a lot of books and listen a lot of podcasts. And in one of that podcasts, somebody mentioned an initiative called Ready School. And Ready School is the initiative that has been started here in Munich, but in the meanwhile, they have locations at least in every bigger city in Germany, right? So in Berlin, in Hamburg, in Cologne, but I think in the meanwhile also a part of that or abroad of that. And one idea behind Ready School is that if you have people, so it starts with refugees in general, but it's not limited to that. Every person that's interested in IT-related stuff, so for example, learning programming languages or understanding of how IT infrastructures look like, and want to make a step into that career, can use Ready School to get trainings and virtual classes. Also bigger companies like Microsoft, I guess even ServiceNow is part of it in the meanwhile, are sponsors of that initiative and provide trainers, right? So that you can really share that information, what is currently important in the market, what must people know that want to start in that tech market. And at the end, the goal is really to bring those people together with the companies so that they can start that those people can start tech careers in that companies. And that's one of the major things they do. And in the meanwhile, with a lot of experience I've gained in that tech environment, I'm collaborating there as a so-called mentor or in a mentorship program. What we do is we explain, okay, what do we experience in the past? So what do we have learned in the past? If somebody is interested in to get more information about that, you can make one-to-one sessions, and I can then share information, right? So what would I think is interesting to know if you want to start a security career, or what do you know if you want to start as a programmer? Such things. Maybe you have a network in the meanwhile where you can share information, or where you can referral somebody to a person, and such things. So just to support people in getting started in that area.
Yeah. No, that's a very important topic per se, but also when it comes to the thinking behind it. I think the similar programs that ServiceNow does have is Next Gen, right? But the Ready School is quite independently and can provide a broader point of view, if that makes sense. But, you know, I also really appreciate it. I mean, being a mentor in such an environment, or basically per se, right, takes a lot of time. So also time invest from you, right? But maybe from a different perspective, what do you gain out of it? I don't mean money or something, right? But from a personal development point of view.
Yeah. I mean, in general, it's all about really help other people, right? Because that's really something where I guess, okay, I had I did my steps in the past, and I experienced from time to time, okay, that can be getting really hard or becoming really hard to make next steps. So to give something back and to say, okay, I have learned something and I want to give something back to people that are maybe in another stage where I can give something back in form of, okay, maybe I know somebody who can who has a job for someone, right? Or maybe I have interesting YouTube channels I have experienced in the past where I think, okay, that was interesting to listen to them and to watch them, because you can learn really cool stuff. They have really cool content. Why not share that? Because another one has also to do all that research to find that interesting content. Just to share that information. And if then people reach out to me after several months and tell me via LinkedIn, for example, so, hey, cool, or I see it in the LinkedIn history, hey, cool, somebody really gets a job in that area and is really grateful for that information. I mean, there's nothing more. That's really cool to see then.
Yeah. Would you agree if I would say that with your initiative or with your engagement, you lower the bar and increase the approachability of the topic per se?
You mean the topic of cybersecurity, or in general?
In general, right? I mean, at the Ready School, you mentioned there. I mean, yes, in your case, cybersecurity, but from a general perspective.
Of course. I mean, because Ready School, you have the chance to participate in virtual courses, but of course you can also go and meet colleagues in person there. So in every bigger city, you can participate in meetups and you can participate in courses, also trainings and courses that are set up over a time of maybe 3 months or 6 months. And I would say that if you have that information and learn that stuff, after the time, the opportunities and chances to get a job are much better than before, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we already mentioned it, right? So your title, what you're currently having is Cloud Security Specialist. it might be a little bit of, what is it exactly what you do?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm doing the whole day, right?
maybe one comment. Just be aware your manager might listen to this one. So
yeah, sure.
think about your work.
I try to tell you nothing wrong here. So it starts with grab a coffee, right? So that's definitely the case every day. But no, just rubbish. Yeah, I mean, of course, what we do, or in the team I'm working currently, we are so-called customer security and trust advisors. So that means as soon as somebody or organization in general wants to use our product and they have security-related questions, we jump in and we try to explain our customers what we are doing, how do we ensure that data gets protected accordingly, what kind of security measures do we have implemented, which kind of contractual variances do we have to be compliant from a legal perspective as well. So it's a really wide subject in that way, and of course, it has a lot to do to first understand what is the point of view the customer has, what is the risk, what the customer is concerned about, and then to try to explain what can we do to protect the data, and that you are not have to be concerned to work together with us. Yeah. That's one of the major tasks, and really to build up that trust and that partnership, so that we can do our business together.
Yeah. So when we have a look at cybersecurity, right? What is it? Yeah, broken down, kind of. If we can break it down a little bit.
Question. Yeah, that's a really hard question, because I mean, cybersecurity is the overarching term that you can use, and you can use that buzzword for nearly everything. But to try to narrow it down, you can say that cybersecurity in general, you want to protect data, you want to protect information systems that are processing information in its core, right, or data at the end, and you want to protect that data. But it's not just limited to IT infrastructure and servers, network devices, operating systems, all kind of stuff that you use to provide that computing power to processing information. At the end, you want to protect that, right? But cybersecurity is, from my point of view at least, much wider. So you have, in the meanwhile, you have not only IT, you have also so-called OT. So that means operational technology. If you think about a plant or automotive manufacturer, right? You have a fabric where you build all that cars. You need components for that. You need machines for that. And also in that environment, you have a high level of automation and you have a high level of computing power that is necessary for that. But that's a complete different world in comparison with the IT environment, because you have sensors and you have actors in that environment. So that means you have, for example, certain machines that are doing something physically, right? And all the applications that are managing that environments are really, how should I explain that? Those components don't have much resource they can use to process something. So it's not possible to start with, okay, we put on encryption on that devices and we put on some sophisticated application or antivirus software on that, for example, because that small components don't have that resources to really use that mechanisms. So the approach in the operational technology environment is completely different as you would used to be in the information technology environment or in the common business, right? And then think about smart cities or think about connected cars in the meanwhile. So everything that has processing power and is connected to a network that is called internet is subject to that whole cybersecurity topic, and you want to protect the information, you want to protect people, you want to protect products, everything that is somehow valuable to you has to be protected and can be seen as as something that is under that umbrella of cybersecurity. So at least I tried it that way to explain it anyhow. Yeah.
No, I think we did quite get it right. So this was mainly out of or based on an organizational point of view, right? But if you would make it approachable for the individual, what would cybersecurity mean in that scenario?
Yeah, in principle the same, right? So you as an individual are, or the majority of individuals are interested to keep the information safe, right? The information that gets shared with your friends, with your family, via smartphone, via your notebook, computer, via social media tools like WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter or what else you can use. Every time when you put in something and you share it with another one, you want that secret or that information that is shared with another person is protected, right? In general, you don't want that anybody else is listening to that and observes that. I mean, if you have a private conversation with your best friend, you're also not interested in that a lot of people are standing around and listening. Okay, what is that guy telling to another person? Maybe sometimes, but not in every case, right? And it's the same if you use your WhatsApp tool or any other tool. You always want to protect that information, and I mean that can be in a worst case scenario. If you tell something not so sensitive, okay, it could be embarrassing if it discloses to somebody else. But imagine you have a country with a autocracy government system, and you are somebody that is fighting for civil rights there, right? Then it can be really critical if there, for example, a database, you have a database disclosure and address information and names are disclosed of persons that are fighting for civil rights in that country. That can, in the worst case, be danger for your life then. And I mean, that is that's really hard if you are thinking about that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I think we should take cybersecurity seriously. Maybe from a different perspective now, from a professional point of view, right? So from you as a professional, what would you say? How did the requirements of a professional in the area you're working on or working in changed over time? And what do you think about the future?
Yeah. So you mean with regards to a skill set or to a mindset maybe also that you need to working in that environment, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that has changed fundamentally. I mean, it's slightly, or it's in some way a little bit. You can compare to the changes that you observe in the programming or development area, right? Because when you start with that topic, you always think about, okay, if I start a cybersecurity job, then I have to sit in a dark room with low light, and I'm hacking into the device and do some bad stuff. But that's definitely not the case. At the end, it's really all about teamwork, right? Because without a proper team in the background, you can't do anything really good. So that means you need a good team. You need a lot of expertise in the team. When it started a long time ago, when I started in that field, yeah, it was sufficient to have a little information or a little knowledge about how are networks set up, how does programming languages work, how those different components are interconnected to each other. And then you got a ticket and you worked on that ticket and you solved the problem and sent it back. In the meanwhile, I would say that whole security-related issues are much more dependent on relationship to other persons, right? So persons want to have the feeling, okay, there is somebody that is a partner of mine where I can trust on, and not so much anymore on really deep technical things. Often you have that discussion as well, but it changed a lot, right? You have much more to interact with people. That is one major change where I think that has happened in the past, or yeah. And what also changed is the whole approach how to protect information, right? Because in the past you had your own data center, you put all the data in that data center and do some analytical stuff, processing that data and so on, and you could protect that data, right? So think about like a castle, and it was sufficient to dig a moat around that castle, and then it was safe, right? But that's a tactic that wouldn't work anymore, because nowadays and post-Corona times, you have a lot of employees working from everywhere, right? With a big variety on devices that will be used by that people. So it's not sufficient to just implement a high sophisticated firewall and a high sophisticated intrusion detection system, and then we are safe. That won't work anymore. But to really think about, okay, what are our critical assets? What is our sensitive information we want to protect? To think about, okay, how can we implement proper authentication mechanisms? How can we implement proper authorization mechanisms? To really protect and according to a risk-based approach, to really protect the data that is really sensitive, and then implement security measures that fit to that risk of that that fit to the value that you want to protect. Because at the end, it has also and always cost implications, and you can't shot with a bazooka on every single bird. So it's really about, okay, we want to invest our money to protect sensitive data. Maybe there are other areas where that isn't necessary, and to have also that calculation in mind, and to see it from that monetary perspective. That's also an important thing. That is even more important than in the past, I think.
Yeah. Would you agree with me when I say that also change management has a huge part of your job then also?
Absolutely. Also in the past, it was impossible to really explain what changes, why it changes, why is it important to change, because for sure you have that fast development when it comes to technology, but also you have to explain people, okay, why is that change necessary? Why do we use a new tool? Why do we use a new approach? If people don't understand that way, they will always try to stay right and not to go a step forward. Sure, that's one of the big tasks you have also in the IT security environment, if not one of the biggest and most important tasks you have.
Yeah. What would you say? What kind of challenges do you see with on the customer's side you're talking with?
So from my experience, the most critical topic is really the complexity, right? In the meanwhile, you have so many systems interacting with each other. Organizations are shifting to the cloud. They are moving components to the cloud. You have cloud-to-cloud interconnections that you have to manage. You have a lot of automatisms in that cloud environments. That means, okay, we have, for example, an API that is connecting with another API. So no human is involved in that connection anymore, but somewhere in the organization is somebody that is responsible for that, and that has to manage that whole construct, and that is really, really difficult in the meanwhile. On top on that, you have more and more legal restraints, right? You have the general data protection regulation in Europe that you have to consider and that you have to understand. You have in the US a Cloud Act that has effect on your business that you have to understand. Then you have a local law in China. Then you have a local law in Russia. You have local laws in a lot of other countries. That is a strong legal perspective, but of course, you as an organization your organization have to comply with that legal requirements. So when you are thinking about that, when you want to introduce a new application, for example, then you have to consider all of that and to manage that in your organization. That's a really difficult task, yeah, to solve.
Yeah. So let's say, if I would be interested in a job as a cloud security specialist, right? So what kind of approach would you suggest, or also when it comes to certain degrees or certificates?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I mean, in the meanwhile, you can also do some kind of specific study in that direction. Also in school, you learn something about IT security, not really much, but at least a little bit. But at the end, it's really a lot about or a lot of self-education. So try to find out, okay, in the meanwhile, you can find really, really great stuff outside in a lot of different sources. Whether you have books or what I often use is YouTube, right? In the meanwhile, we have so great YouTube channels you can use with great guys explaining certain technologies that also give an overview of the whole topic itself, give an understanding of different approaches, how you can implement security measures in your organization. So YouTube is a really great source for that. But also, I mean, when you try to start, always try to show what you did in practical, right? Maybe you have built some smaller architectures in your home network. Maybe you are working in an environment or in an office where you can approach your local security department and say, hey, I'm interested in that topic. I would like to collaborate in that. Is there something where I can support you out of our department, or can I adopt some topics for you in our department? So do awareness trainings or something like that. And then to try step by step to come into that area. And I would say in every case there is sometimes a point in time where you will get some opportunity to make a step further and maybe to switch to that security department or to apply to a company for a certain position as a junior, for example, and then to start there. But yeah, it's really to gain that practice and to do step by step. It's not the case that you do some study and then after that study you are the professional. It's really a lot about experience and do small step by step.
Yeah. Would you say, or maybe what I think based on what you just said, the key is also the open mind, but also eagerness to learn, right?
Absolutely. I would say that's maybe one of the most important things because that whole security topic is changing so fast, and explore new things, be curious to learn new things, go forward, always make a step ahead. That's really important, yeah. And from my perspective, I'm just interested in that whole IT security area, right? Even when I was a child, I was so interested in, hey, let's see what is behind of that personal computer. Let's build in some new stuff. Trying out new things. How would it behave? How would it behave if I change something in that direction? And yeah, always be open-minded, be new to open things, listen to other people, what is their point of view, then reflect on yourself. Maybe that's an approach we can also do. Maybe in our environment that's not perfect or not a proper fit. That might always be, but be always open-minded and open your eyes for that. That is always of help, yeah. And that's, by the way, from my perspective, a really important characteristic of innovative companies. Always share information, be open to other points of view, try to adopt things from other standpoints, and then, yeah, try to solve problems with that. And at the end, it hopefully works.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Yeah. Which outlook would you give with respect to the future of security in 2023 and beyond?
Yeah, that's that's an interesting question, because I mean, if you take a look to the past, you can see all that topics like cybersecurity crime and ransomware attacks and so on. You have that curve, right? And that curve will not probably stop somewhere. It will increase and further increase during this year, during next year, during the next decade probably, because that architectures are getting more and more complex. You will create more and more surfaces that can be exploited by someone. So therefore, I would expect that we will see further security breaches during the future. Yeah, we will see maybe more sophisticated attacks. The whole buzzword around artificial intelligence will come into play. I mean, certainly you heard about the ChatGPT topic. It's definitely not 100% perfect, but what you can do with that is really, really impressive. You can create certain phishing attack emails with that. You can create attack paths, how you can infiltrate some systems with that. So it reduces the hurdle you have to jump over when to try to attack a system or attack a company or a person. And so from that perspective, I would say, or I would expect that such techniques will be more relevant in the future to attack certain surfaces. But on the other hand, it's also getting more important for the people that want to prevent those attacks, right? It's not possible for humans to really have the overview of the whole system, of every bits and pieces that is going on in that system. So you really have to rely on good information, on obviously also artificial intelligence tools in the future, and then to try to do the right decisions. Yeah, that's the only chance you have.
Yeah. So what we can say then is you don't have to stress about your job in the future.
Definitely not. No.
Perfect. So,
that's for sure.
So all the hard work was not for nothing. So that's great. I'm wondering, would you consider a move outside of cybersecurity one day? And maybe if yes or no, why?
Yeah. I mean, you should never say never, right? Because when I take a look back to my career, I started after study with security, and during the time I switched to various roles. For example, in a role as an enterprise architect. I also was in a role of innovation manager for 1 year, and all that job changes. I have so much learned from that, but with respect to the future, I would say no. So I have no willing at the moment to change again to another area, because it's so much going on in that direction. You can learn so much new things every day. You meet a lot of new people in that way. It's really curious and exciting to help other people's. It's also from my personal point of view that security area has a purpose, right? So it's really about protecting others' information, protecting valuable information, products, assets in general, right? So that's something where I think that's my purpose, where I think, okay, that's worth to stand up every day and fight for that, so to say, or work on that. And so therefore, no. So I'm in the right area. You have a awesome career outlook in that area. You can specify, or you can specialize, on a certain direction. So much options, and at the moment I have no willing to change that again. Yeah.
Yeah. No, what I would say, yeah, I'm happy for you that you have found your purpose, right? And I think nowadays it's very important, especially to have that. And also when it comes to yourself. So I think everyone who will or is watching it will agree with me when I say we can see your passion. So that's really, really good. Maybe last question from my side, right? So self-awareness, self-reflection, mental health, recharging, purpose, etc., right? Buzzword bingo or what?
I mean, that's a question that everyone has to be answer for themselves, right? But at least from my perspective, I can tell you that I think that's really important. I mean, you can, of course, invest a lot of time in the daily job and in your career and the next step, but without any time for a break, you will not do that as long as a year or two. So I highly recommend to really take the time to take time for your family, to do stuff beside of the work, to really close your notebook in the evening and do other stuff, and then you can put effort the next day again. That's no problem. But if you don't have the time to refresh and to charge your batteries again, then it's getting really difficult, because it's not a sprint. So from my perspective, it's a marathon, right? So you have not to take 1 year, you have to take the next 30 or 40 years and maybe beyond of that. And from that perspective, and I want to jump in here for my current employer, we have well-being days. We can use to spend with our families. I have at the moment the flexibility to bring really work together with my family life. Maybe you have meetings in the evening, or you have private appointments in the afternoon, and then you can arrange that accordingly. So that is really, really valuable, and I appreciate it highly. And I guess it's not only important for me, but it's getting more and more important for in general, right? That you can combine those two things. But yeah, to take breaks and to do things outside of work, that's absolutely crucial.
Yeah, two things. So first, it's really, really important to have whoever the employer is, right? But to have an employer who provides flexibility. I mean, as you also mentioned, for every person, it's different, right? And second, it's really funny because I just thought about it. When I asked the question, right, and you were saying that for every person it's different, et cetera, right? Yes, it is. And an example, when my manager asks me about my opinion, then I say something, right? And usually the first reaction from her is then, Christian, stop the political correctness. I asked about your opinion. So thank you for sharing your opinion, Marco.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Maybe for the end, I would like to hand it over to you for the last words.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you, Christian, for inviting me to that call. These are also my first experience with podcasting. I heard a lot of podcasts, but I was never part of it. So really, really thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, to all of you, think about what do you want to do in your life? What are the things you want to stand up for every morning, and then go into that direction. Yeah, it's always worth to get insights from other persons, but at the end, take the decision and do it as you want to do, and not as anyone else wants to do. I guess that's really important.
Thank you for your time, Marco. See you soon.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.